Well, welcome staff and all of council to our meeting today. I'd like to call it to order, please, and we'll have a moment of silent reflection. And I would like to invite all in attendance to pause and reflect on today's agenda as a gesture of respect and contemplation, and to wish everyone well and to be safe in the days to come. Thank you. And to welcome those that may be tuning in with us now or later in the future here. Welcome. So I'm looking for approval of the agenda. I need a motion for that, please. Councillor Warr and Councillor Walsh, all in favor? All opposed? Seeing none? Thank you. Minutes and notes of the meetings. Council minutes of May the 12th, looking for a motion for May the 12th, then for as presented and or as amended, please. Deputy Mayor Burt, Councillor Archer, all in favor? Carried. All opposed? Seeing no hands, thank you. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing no hands, thank you. The consent agenda, we're looking to receive for information C1 through C3 and R1 through R7 as presented or and as amended. Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
I will approve with pulling of R6 and R7.
Okay. Thank you. And just because we're approving this so fast, it doesn't mean that staff, we don't appreciate all the hard work that you've put into this. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts. So we have a motion from Deputy Mayor Burt. I'm looking for a seconder. Councillor Walsh, all in favor? Carried. Opposed? Seeing no hands. Thank you. No delegations or presentations. There's none, so we're on to staff and committee reports then. So Candace, please, R8.
I think we will deal with R6 that was pulled off of the consent agenda, Mayor, if that's okay, and then R7.
Sure. I wasn't sure if that was under correspondence for action or not. So yeah, nope, that's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So R6 then?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want to pull R6 just for one reason. Great work to the staff up there for a very successful inspection report of the transfer station, and I think everyone's pretty pleased that it's open now and running smoothly. One thing I just want to bring to the attention of council members for Asphodel-Norwood is the organic waste, and I think Roger and I, we've seen it stalled for quite some time at County Council, and it's been going on apparently for years, and I don't know if there's something or supportive council that we can do to push that along, either at County Council or what we can do locally besides composters and digesters. So I'm just kind of putting it out there for information for council members, and what your thoughts are on that.
Council, any thoughts there? Councillor Walsh?
Lori and Roger, being closer to it at County Council, what kind of is the holdback to this point as to why we can't get it moving?
I can answer if you'd like.
Sure.
Being on waste management there for 4 years in the last term when I was deputy mayor, this had come up several times. Most of it is money. It stems down to money. So I mean, if you want your bio waste to go somewheres, then you have to budget for it. County looks after our recycling as it is now. The amount that it would take in order to remove this at this time is considerable amount by the time you have your green boxes and one thing after another, as well as transportation, having the bid out. And as you can see, even with the recycling that's come forward, the amount of extra money that it's cost us this year at the county level to even pick that up is astronomical compared to what it was before. And I believe the other thing that hit us there was the way in order to get rid of it or have it. I think county, as well as the city of Peterborough, has looked into this, and they were thinking about doing their own bio waste plant, but that takes province approval, as well as from the South Monaghan there has to have approval on that also, and then it's millions of dollars to put something in order to make that work. So that's just a little bit of background. Councillor War.
Through you, Mayor, just a question to the Deputy Mayor and Mayor, if you know the answer to this. Would there be any more education and promotion of digesters and composters to once again divert the green waste? Do you know any upcoming things or promotion that from the county? No.
I don't, but it's something that we could certainly bring up and pass along to the manager. See.
Just a follow-up to that, I know that they did have a program last summer, which was very successful. And I know that even for, we took advantage of that program at our household, and it really diverted a lot of green waste from our, I guess, recycling and garbage.
Candace, you want to fill something in on this?
Yes, I can add from an Asphodel-Norwood perspective, not a Peterborough County perspective, but from an Asphodel-Norwood point of view, we have been waiting patiently for Peterborough County to come up with a curbside green waste program in order for it to, the cost of that program to be shared amongst, obviously it would be a cost share between the city of Peterborough and Peterborough County, the 8 municipalities. That being said, Cavan Monaghan municipality has stepped out and done their own curbside green waste and have partnered with a company through Northumberland County, and their green waste is being shipped to Belleville. As we also border Northumberland County through Hastings, through Trine Hills, that is an option that Asphodel-Norwood can look at as whether it's something that we would like to take on, and staff can research that. We were looking at the possibility of recommending mullets being installed at the transfer station. It's an in-ground system, researching that to see if the 2021 budget could hold some infrastructure like that up there. So there's a couple of things coming forward. Prior to the pandemic, it was on the list to be addressed in the service delivery review for the waste department for Asphodel-Norwood to look at and to try to come up with a recommendation from staff to council as to whether we're going to wait for Peterborough County for a curbside program with an execution date unknown, whether we want to install a mullets or whether we want to implement, similar to Cavan Monaghan, because of our proximity to Northumberland County, a curbside green waste program, and see if we can partner with them in some capacity. So those 3 items, which I don't know what the answer is sitting here today, but I do know that those 3 items were on the list for staff to research for the upcoming 2021 year. If the service delivery review will be started in 2020, and completed probably at this point in 2021, but waste management is on at the top of the list to take a look at, just as some background feedback from a staff perspective.
Follow up, Deputy Mayor.
Just a quick follow-up, Candace. I assume with Hastings being part of Northumberland County, green waste is collected in the village of Hastings as well as the surrounding townships south of us?
Yeah, Northumberland County, as a whole, every property has curbside. So it wasn't just urban, it was rural as well. Every single residence last year received a they changed their whole program to a dual bin program. So you have a gray bin and a blue bin, and they hold separated items. One's for cardboard paper, one is for glass and aluminum cans. And then they have you were given a green bin free of charge, as well as the kitchen catcher that you use to collect the green waste to put into the green bin at the curbside. And one truck comes and picks up all of it at one time.
Ah,
Oh.
okay.
So it's something to consider.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I remember being on a road tour through county, and they took us north, and I can't remember whether it was in Selwyn or North Kawartha. I'm not sure where it was, but there's mullocks in the ground up there. And that's like a 30-foot tunnel into the ground. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in a line there. And then people dump their green waste down there, and it drops down a long ways. And then sooner than later, a crane comes and picks that tube right up and then dumps it into a truck waiting. So it doesn't really, it does get removed at some point. And I guess it's pretty disgusting. And some of the mullocks that's in the ground, I think they're rotting out as they speak now. There's also green waste being picked up in Havelock at their transfer station too. I believe they have a mullocks there of some sort of, or a bin of some sort. And there's another one in the county somewhere also. So Northumberland is a single tier, I believe, right?
No,
No, it's 2-tier system too?
it is a 2-tier system, yes. The lower tiers and upper tiers. The difference is the upper tier handles, they deal with all the transfer stations. Waste as a whole across the board is at the upper tier. So it is slightly different. That was the other thing I wanted to mention, is we'd have to carefully consider all approaches, because if we entered into a contract to handle a curbside green program prior to Peterborough County implementing a program, we'd have to have a clear understanding of the timelines prior to doing that, because it would obviously tend to be more cost prohibitive for the county if they have already 2 municipalities such as Cavan, Monaghan, and ourselves that have already entered into other contracts. We'd either have to look at a short-term type venture or have a really clear understanding of what Peterborough County is doing, so that we're not crossing that option off of our list and not hindering that process to ensure that the cost remains down. Because as Kyle says, the key to pollution is dilution. So the more people in there, the better. But all of those options will be looked at. Timing of Peterborough County obviously is key, and not all municipalities have curbside in for every household either.
That's right.
Trent Lakes does not, HBM does not. So I mean, there's just a lot to consider across the board, but hopefully we hear a time frame from Peterborough County soon prior to, or I can get some answers at least during our service delivery review, where we reach out and question and interview neighbors.
Well, they have a new manager now too, but since this COVID thing had hit here, I mean, it's pretty well stalled conversation and plans out, I think, as far as that's concerned. I mean, we dealt with Tara in the past, I believe, at County at Waste Management, and now there's the new fellow there. So
Casper, yes.
Casper, that's right. Thank you for the name.
You're welcome.
So hopefully it's a great topic to discuss for sure. And it is on some people's radar for sure out there in the municipality. I have one of those black things in my lawn. It's doing fine, but I mean, if somebody would come and pick it up, I'd probably like that better. So anyway, thank you. So we need a motion on that then, or any other discussion on R6 then? Seeing no hands, so a motion to receive then for R6. Deputy Mayor Burt and Councillor Walsh. All in favor? Carried. All opposed? No hands. Thank you. So R7 then, please, Deputy Mayor Burt, you want to discuss?
Yeah, I just had a question for Kyle. I did have some other ones answered, but how often is the camera work done, and is that on a recurring basis, or is it on an as needed basis for the camera work? I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, so the last time camera work was done was it kind of lagged on. It was between like 13 and 15. And that was done. There was some grant money, I guess. So they had done them, not all of them, but a majority of them. So it had been 3 years almost 4. So we decided to do again just to see where we're at. I have written an SOP for how often flushing and camera work will occur. So that's going to be basically flushing is going to be on a 3-year rotating basis, so that every 3 years, at least one section gets it.
Okay.
And then camera work will be kind of like on a 5-year basis, unless it's needed sooner, obviously, if we're experiencing issues. So that's kind of where that stands right now, is with the SOP.
Okay, no, I was just curious about that. And then this is my last question, and it might be a stupid question, but I'm not a water person, so bear with me. If you know you're losing water, say it's not a big water leak and it's not gushing out of the ground, but you know that there's more water being used traditionally than it should be. So you're assuming there's water leaks. Are you able to like isolate that to areas of town, or is it just an overall? I just wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like these ones here, they didn't surface any of them. So it's really hard when you're not getting a phone call, or when you're not seeing wet spots, or that sort of deal. You can isolate areas. It's hard with water usage. You kind of got to go around in the middle of the night, isolate sections, see if you can hear valves whistling, that kind of deal. And then you can kind of pin it to areas, but then within that area, it's hard to do with. I mean, we've used leak detection equipment before. Sometimes that works. On plastic mains, it doesn't, because they don't kind of emit the same sound. I mean, unless you're really good at it. I'm not, but anyways, we're trying. But so yeah, these leaks, as I say, they kind of started in, I think, around December, January, and just because they didn't show up, they were kind of hard to pin down.
Okay, no, I was just curious. Thank you for that, and yeah, thank you.
Councillor War.
Yes, I have another question for Kyle through you, Mayor, please. I was just wondering, with the repairs that were done to the water system, Kyle, have you noticed like a substantial decrease in the amount of water that has been going through the plants? And
oh yeah.
And a second follow-up to that was, do you think has COVID-19, with people staying in their homes, have you seen an increase in water consumption from the water users in Norwood?
Yeah, that it's tricky to say how much is COVID related because of the leaks.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought initially like that, this is people staying home, but then I kind of base it off of our very low flows at night. So I look back historically at nighttime, we're around, we had been around 2.5, 3 liters a second kind of since I started. 2 liters a second, right at 2 in the morning kind of deal. And you can almost watch when toilets are being flushed on the trends. And we had gone up to, we were creeping up on 7 liters a second at those points. So that's how we knew we had some leaks. Wasn't sure if it was a series of small leaks. Had the idea it was probably that, because one major leak would have shown itself at that point. So then, yeah, the numbers, to answer that first part of the question, the numbers have dropped drastically since those repairs, to the tune of like 300, 400 cubes a day. And as far as COVID impacting them, I think the flows are up slightly, but now it's also hard to tell over the last little bit because we've been into nicer weather. People are watering lawns, people are washing cars. So they are up a bit from, what you'd expect to see in winter flows.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, just one quick question, Kyle. In your report under the wastewater treatment, you fixed 4 leaks in the sanitary collection system in January, and you mentioned that there's a couple more to repair. Do you have a sense of timing on them?
Just looking to confirm it. They need another piece of equipment to do one of our leaks because it's on where a service connection attaches. Okay. So the one that they had up here to do our first 4, it wouldn't do that repair.
Okay.
So that piece of equipment was down. I'm just waiting on confirmation as to when they can get up here, hopefully sooner than later. The other leak that we found, we actually only found based on one of the water leaks we repaired on Birch Street. So that's the purging and sealing of a manhole. And that's another one I'm just looking to pin the guys down. We use sewer technologies. And yeah, it's just a matter of getting them up here, hopefully within the next month or so. Although the water table's gone down enough that I don't think we're seeing hardly any infiltration right now. So
Okay, thank you.
I have a question then, just like when you mentioned people washing their cars and their lawns and one thing after another, and it now being hot and beginning to be dry, does staff feel that a water ban may be coming sooner than later?
I think it's a little early yet. I mean, we did one last year, and when was that, Candace? July?
Yeah, we did a voluntary reduction
Yeah.
order, so we didn't actually do a water ban. We just put out for everyone if they could please do a voluntary consumption reduction, and it was enough to actually, we've seen enough reduction that we were fine. If we get to that point in another, normally it's July we see it, so we'll just have to, but it's getting hot and dry sooner this year than we've seen, so we may have to address it sooner, but it's multi-step, so we always do a voluntary consumption reduction, and normally the residents take that seriously enough and we do see a reduction, and rarely do we have to go to a full-on water ban. Our water source seems to fluctuate very little with drought conditions, so.
Yeah, we were good last year through some of the drier spells, and actually there was quite a good response to the voluntary water reduction. It was almost within the first week, the flows really started dropping off. So I think people just needed the kind of the
Reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, like, let's face it, there's enough rules and regulations and things and restrictions out there that we don't need to place any more on the public, that's for sure. So yeah, voluntary's great.
This past weekend was a really good indication because obviously it was hot, and obviously everybody being home, and we were around 800 cubes a day, which isn't crazy. Like that's only halfway to our permit to take water, and our flows were almost up that high when we had those leaks. So,
well, thank you for that, Kyle, and thank you for your report too. Council, any other questions or concerns on R7? Okay, seeing none, we'll ask for a motion then to receive that. Councillor Archer and Councillor Walsh, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
have a great day, guys. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, staff reports then. We're on to R8 then, Candace, please. Oh, no delegations or presentations. I did say that earlier, but I'll just keep it in order here. So, all right, R8 then, thank you.
So this is the recommendation to adopt an amended site plan agreement for the previous JJ Stewart / previous Max Convenience Store location on 4293 and 4309 Highway 7. Originally, a site plan control agreement was entered into in 2012, and then another one, the property changed hands. An amended agreement was taken forward and approved in 2014. Again, this is the same process in 2020 due to the property changing hands. This is an amended agreement just to ensure that the legal property owners' names are in the agreement, the appropriate addresses, new signatures, and the appropriate plans are as appendix to the agreement are all up to date and current, and the current owner's signature. This site plan control agreement, I guess, could be somewhat considered housekeeping, as this development has been ongoing for many years. It is fully permitted. The MTO has given approvals. ORCA, the Conservation Authority, has given approvals. TSSA for the tanks in the ground, as well as the building permit has already been issued. So all of those permits were grandfathered over to the new owners. We have included, MTO has asked, because their permit has also been grandfathered, that we include some language, since we were opening the agreement as a due diligence task. They would like to see no parking on Highway 7. So that is included as part of the motion as well. Is there, I would take any questions from council at this time.
Okay, Councillor War.
Through you, Mayor. Candace, I have one question. So the remediation of the gas tanks, has that already been completed on that site plan?
Yeah, they have been, it has long been completed, and there's been ongoing annual testing there for years.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, any other questions or concerns at this time? Councillor Walsh?
Yeah, Candace, if I can, and I think you did confirm this to me in our discussion yesterday, but if for some reason we were to make a decision to not move forward with this, we would probably lose any capability because of MTO, the Ministry of the Environment, to ever be able to put a development on here again. Is that a fair statement?
So it is. So one thing to remember is this is a site plan control agreement. So it's just an agreement to enforce our site plan control bylaw. So the development is already been approved through the permitting process years ago. So not entering into this agreement today basically means that the township wouldn't have a current site plan control agreement with the developer.
Okay.
So that's one question. The second part of your question is, no, the permits were grandfathered in. They have to build exactly what the permits that were originally intended for, because getting an MTO approval or an ORCA approval for the site moving forward would be next to impossible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It would stay gravel forever.
Okay.
Yeah. The site, to me, even though it looks very large, because of the way the river falls up onto that on the lower part, it takes in not a lot of area that they couldn't come close to building on, right?
The building envelope is small, so to put in something that require a lot of parking locations, such as a larger commercial establishment, they wouldn't be able to meet the parking requirements. But just due to the restrictions on the building envelope with the Conservation Authority and MTO alone.
Right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Burt?
Just one question I thought of. Any liability issues? I'm just thinking of the fuel tanks. That's my main concern. Would rest with the company and the Ministry of the Environment, because all of this
We don't
has been
approve them.
done. Okay.
Yeah, we're not the approval authority for those fuel tanks. They have to go through their own permitting and approval process. No different than the township isn't in control of the number of years that site has to be monitoring, the testing that's still been ongoing since the original tanks were removed when it was the JJ Stewart lot. We weren't in control of any of that. We are included as a courtesy as far as testing results, Conservation Authority, all of those people are also included in those results, but we are not approving this. It's no different than the A&W site further up the highway. All of those permittings and approvals go through the appropriate agencies and permitting bodies, and we issue a building permit, and that the tanks do not fall within that building permit. Other than that, we do the site plan control agreement, just allows the municipality to have a bit more teeth in how that property is built out, as far as any nuisances, noise control, water, sanitary, garbage, parking, all of those types of things. So control of the site as it's being developed, I guess, as a way to put it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that was a great explanation. Thanks on that. Okay, so we're looking for a motion on R8 then, please. Councillor War and Councillor Archer, all in favor? Very good. All opposed? Seeing none, it's carried. Thank you. So R9, so I guess Candace, you'll be looking after this, the merger agreement with Huckleberg?
Ed is with us.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, Ed, I missed you down there in that corner.
Hey,
For me, it's in
how
the
are
corner.
you?
I'm good, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good. Okay, so this report is just to finalize the consent application. Huckleberg purchased the property adjacent to it. They severed off the rear yard. We went through the zoning bylaw amendment in February the 11th, 2020. It came and was approved by council. The merger agreement will ensure that the lot addition will act as one property when it's attached to the registered on title and it's attached to the Huckleberg preschool property. So this is our last step, and then it's up to Huckleberg to finish the registering of the deed, the legalities of it, that type of thing. But this will be the township's last part in this process.
Thank you, Ed. Council, any questions or concerns? Okay. Oh, Councillor Walsh.
Just more for clarity, Ed, for myself, if I can. So that still leaves the front parcel of that piece where the house resides as a separate parcel of land, correct?
Yes,
And it's currently zone residential still?
yes, it is.
Okay. And so, and the second part to that is there an opportunity down the road that they could add that parcel to the current now piece and make it all one?
They would have to go through another merger agreement. So
Right.
they've already just thought of all those different options, and we're talking about possibly using that dwelling as a offices, that type of thing. But
Okay.
they chose to sever the back property off and sell the house. So the deal closes on the 28th. So
Okay.
that's why this has come to the table right now.
Okay.
Good questions. I seen another hand there, Council. Deputy Mayor Burt.
Just motion to approve.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor War. All in favor? That's carried with a show of hands. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you very much, Ed, on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
That's
Have a
it
good
for
day.
me, right,
Thanks,
Candace?
Yes, have a good
Thank
day.
you. Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
R10 then, Candace, extension to interim integrity commissioner appointment.
Yes, this is just a housekeeping item. Previously, we had, staff has brought forward a staff report requesting that council would approve Asphodel-Norwood being included in the RFP for integrity commissioner with a few other municipalities and Peterborough County. Due to some delays with COVID-19, Peterborough County has been unable to release the RFP. So we need to extend our appointment to John Mascarin from Airden Burles in order to ensure that we are compliant with the regulation. So hopefully within the next 90 days before mid-August, we are able to bring forward the official appointment. If not, we would just come forward with another extension at that time.
Pretty straightforward, Council. Looking for a motion then. Councillor Walsh, Councillor Archer, all in favor? That was a unanimous show of hands. Thank you very much for that. Carried. R11 then, please, Candace, extension to interest and penalty relief for property taxes.
Yes, so on April 7th, a special meeting of council was held, and during that time, council approved the waiving of all penalties and penalty fees being charged on unpaid property tax accounts up until June 1st. So that included March, April, and May. Now we're June 1st is upon us, so it's time to make a decision how we are going to be handling that penalty and moving forward. Staff is recommending that that be extended to July 1st for the 2020 tax payments only. So any arrear accounts that have an unpaid balance for 2018 and 2019 would have penalties and interest incurred as of June 1st, but any 2020 payments that have been unpaid would receive a relief until July 1st. That gives us a chance to see actually how the pandemic is going to impact the residents financially based on tomorrow's tax payment day. So we had a tax payment day in March, very early on in the pandemic, not a great indicator of the financial status of the residents in regards to tax payments. So we need to have this next tax payment in order to get a clear indication as to whether an extension past July 1st is needed. At this time, staff is not recommending any further extension to water and sewer, as it was extended till July 13th during the previous motion. So it's going to sustain at this time. Staff is planning on bringing a staff report forward at the next council meeting, which I believe is on June 9th. That will give an update on COVID-19 financial implications to the township as a whole, expenses incurred to date, any revenue loss, and it will include the impacts of this tax day. I can say that we have no clear indication coming into the tax day that we're going to see a huge influx in taxes receivables, but again, I'll know better on June 1st when the taxes are balanced.
Thank you for that. Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor Burt?
I was just curious, how many carryovers are there from 2018 and 2019? Approximately how many properties do you know off the top of your head? I just happened to think about, okay, no, that's fine. I was just curious.
I have no idea the actual number of households
Yeah.
that it would actually be broken down from
Oh,
2018
that's fine. I
2019.
was just a quick
I
thought
can I can pop you out an email after and
Okay.
let you know what it is.
No, that's fine.
Any other questions? Seeing no hands, then we're looking for a motion then to extend that to the recommendation. Deputy Mayor Burt and Councillor Walsh, all in favor? The show of hands was unanimous. Thank you for that. It's carried. So R12 then, Candace, management action list, please.
Yes, you can see all of the items that came forward on May 26th. Coming up on June 9th, you see the financial update, which we were just discussing, the township-wide fire route review, fence viewers, the risk assessment management review with Kyle, DWQMS. It's a housekeeping item that happens every year. And looking like we may see that site plan control agreement and condo development agreement in June after all for the end of Birch and Maple Streets there. So probably seeing that, whether it's the 9th or the 23rd, depends on how long the lawyers keep it in their hands, but it looks like we're going to see it in the month of June.
Council, any questions? Any concerns? Seeing nothing, motion to receive then? Councillor War and Councillor Archer, all in favor? That's carried unanimous with a show of hands. Thank you. Correspondence for action, there's none. Councillor liaison reports then. Anyone have anything they'd like to speak about today? Councillor War, please.
My apologies for not doing a written correspondence, but I had a meeting on Thursday night after our reports were required for this agenda. So the first one, I just want to update a little bit the Asphodel-Norwood historical and the Facebook site is still doing very well. We have reached 934 people in the last 30 days, 617 post engagements, which means they're reading the posts, 10 new page likes. We're continuing to promote the 1920 Norwood Register, and it's going over very well. And we would like to see if any other committees would be like to join us in doing the second annual Scarecrow Challenge for the township. So I'm putting it out there now because September comes very quickly. And so it's something that we may want to engage in. I think it would be nice for the community. So especially with the delay and cancellation of the Norwood Fair. And the second thing was the ORCA meeting, and that was on Thursday night. And there's a 2019 annual report to our watershed community, and it will be hopefully provided for the next agenda. And ORCA is dealing with the same things as the township, doing the safe protocols for staff, how to do site visits safely, the opening of the campgrounds, and the fluctuating water levels within the watershed as well. So anyways, that's my report. Any more questions, please give me an email.
Thank you, Councillor War. Any questions to Councillor War on that one, Council? Seeing none, anyone else? Deputy Mayor Burt?
I just have a question, and it's not so, well, I guess it could be a little bit of a liaison question. And Trails Day is June 9th or June 6th, whatever the date is. And even though we're not having an official Trails Day because of COVID-19, are we able to put some information out online and through social media about, you know, just promoting our usage of trails, because they are still open? So I just wondered if that was available.
Yes, so the information is already prepared. So
Okay.
we do an advertisement annually every single year for Trails Day. Social media promotion, mainly website, community press ad, and then we print it out in flyer form to put out in all of the community bulletin boards. So the one for 2020 has already been prepared. They're just sitting ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you. I just didn't know because there was not the barbecue and everything else that goes
know.
along with it this year. So
It's not as exciting of a flyer, that's for sure, but it's there. It's
Okay,
going to be
thank
put
you.
out.
So last night we had our first Zoom meeting for the library. It was interesting. It went very well. We had a few board members on there that have never used Zoom before, but you know, it was very successful, and I'm very proud of everyone that took place on that one. So that we did some highlights on the CAO's. She has a report that she gives us each month. So she gave us a report over 2 months, basically. One of the highlights was the Murder Mystery May, that they had readings of some murder mysteries, and that was very well portrayed for the library. And the last one that was put out, it was said that they had 269 hits on that. People were watching, so that's awesome. Last night, to help with how the Zoom meetings were, we decided to have a COVID task force put in place to help with possibly of a reopening in the near future, or in the future, whenever the Premier says things can go ahead. I'm very optimistic that a year from now, the library will be open. We just don't know where it's going, right, with how the things are in the world today. So, I mean, I'm trying to keep everybody patient for sure. But this task force is going to look over certain things as to how we can protect staff, maybe source out some gloves, some masks, some shields if needed, possibly moving computers around one thing after another. So just to keep people social distance. But as of right now, the library's still closed. So, and Candace, you can help along the way with some stuff, I'm sure here. So go ahead.
Yes, can I just ask who the members are that are sitting on the COVID task force? Because it is a municipal facility. So even though the libraries may be granted to be open, not all libraries across the province are operated out of municipally owned facilities. So there will be certain township policies that would apply to it, as it is a municipal facility, that I would like to forward on to that separate task force. I'm assuming Chris will sit on it.
Yes, there's myself, Krista Rutherford, Mary, and Chris, of course. There's just 4 of us on there. You get all the names?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep, no problem. So that's basically how the library meeting went last night. It was a quick meeting, but a lot of stuff was covered with the CEO. They've been doing well. And trying to keep people entertained as they went on. So, okay. Where are we at now? We're on to clerk and treasurer's list, please.
Yeah, I have it here. Okay, so just want to give council a brief update, as I always do, in regards to COVID-19. So the fire department, as we know, the burn ban was lifted. We have not had any grass fires since the burn ban was lifted. It has been successful in that regard. We have had a non-burning compliance, someone that was burning outside of the provisions that are in our burn bylaw. So a fine was issued, and that was just this week. We still have an adequate supply of PPE that is moving forward. We did receive a donation of 500 masks from the Peterborough Fire Association. So that's been well. We do have an adequate supply, and the department is weathering the storm as a whole. Training is still suspended. The Wednesday evening get-togethers for training are still not occurring, and we still have not provided a recommendation as a date as to when those should commence, with all of the firefighters getting back together. The only regular ongoing task that is occurring, obviously outside of the calls themselves, is the regular equipment maintenance, which is mandated. So once per month. A few firefighters are assigned to go into each, and they have to run all of the equipment, ensure that everything's running properly as a preventative maintenance program. So every time there is a call, they can be ensured that everything that's going to that call is going to operate and function how it's intended to. That is ongoing. Public Works, still maintaining separate vehicles and equipment. If less than 2 meters is unable to be obtained during essential task work, PPE is worn. All Public Works employees have been assigned their own face shields, and they have been given, they have masks and gloves and all sanitization equipment in each vehicle and each piece of equipment. So that continues to be ongoing as previously reported. It hasn't stopped any annual projects from commencing. Calcium is currently being applied, and gravel crushing is going to start shortly as well. I did receive a question in regards to the boom mower. Still another 6 weeks out. It looks like it's potentially early July before we're going to see that equipment in-house. But that's something to look forward to. Building permits and planning department. So I guess as of today, we've been officially back up and running and issuing permits for 1 week. And it is, the emails are starting to roll in as far as people looking at what is required and checklists in order to be issued a permit. We have issued permits, obviously. Most of the permits that have been issued have been auxiliary permits. So for decks, renovations, that sort of thing, just one home. Because as of right now, all permits have been issued for the subdivisions. So we have no current permits that are outstanding. And traditionally, for the timing of the subdivisions, it has been permitting in the first quarter to have the permits in place to start in construction season. The timing of phase 3 is going to be permitting in quarter 3 or quarter 4. So the year to date total at the end of the year will be playing catch up. The timing is just slightly different than the first 2 phases. So you're going to see, will it completely catch? Phase 2 sold out exceptionally fast. The permits went out the door exceptionally fast. We hope that holds true for phase 3. The subdivision agreement for that phase will be coming along shortly, and in there you will see that we traditionally allow 10% of the homes to be built as model homes for selling purposes. So that would mean 11.8. So I guess we'll let them build 12 homes. We don't let them leave the windows out or something for 11.8, but so 12 homes will be built in there as model homes, and then potentially they'll be seeking other permits as well. The office still busy with calls, as we are the call center for the residents for everything that's going on right now. With tax day being tomorrow, it does make it a bit busy. We are still expecting the municipal office to remain closed for the month of June. The Peterborough County CAOs met, and it looks like that seems to be the consensus across the board. The concern is opening and then having to reclose again. And we put a lot of effort and time into getting VPN servers up and softwares on laptops to get everyone working home and work projects and work logs. So it's working exceptionally well. We're getting a lot done, and the safety of the staff is utmost important to me. So, and there hasn't been a decrease in the level of customer service given to all residents. If anything, I have to say it's increased. All of my staff has stepped up to the plate and has provided feedback during their off time, personal, like they've really stepped up to the plate. So my goal is to keep them safe, ensure that the service windows are in place, that policies are in place to protect them before those doors go open. So as long as everything remains intact and everything's going smoothly and we don't see any changes at the provincial level, then perhaps you'll see an opening in July. Right after Canada Day, perhaps July 2nd. All municipalities in the county are looking towards the very similar of an opening date at this time. Again, we're not holding to that date. It all depends on what happens in the province. Water and wastewater, everything is moving forward. You've heard from Kyle today. COVID-19 doesn't have a huge impact on his day-to-day operations. He has one part-time employee and they are able to maintain separation and have separate vehicles, etc. So that continues to go well. Parks and Rec, as you know, some of our parks, portions of our parks opened last week. So the park shelters were opened. We did decrease the number of picnic tables in certain shelters in order to maintain separation where possible. We did segregate the playground equipment. The skateboard park is open. The basketball court is open. The baseball diamonds are open, and picnic shelters are open with the green space. It was a fair bit of work by the Parks and Rec and Public Works staff in order to get that fencing located and around the appropriate pieces of equipment that are still off limits, which is essentially all of the playground and outside fitness equipment. And obviously there is, even though with this hot weather, unfortunately, no intent, we won't be opening the splash pad as it is still to remain closed. Everything has been properly signed to state the ball diamonds, although they're open, no team sports are permitted. It is supposed to be for same household use only. Social distancing is still required, and obviously the five individuals for social gatherings is still in place. So all of those are still currently being enforced. We haven't had any issues. Participate in the OPP call every week and get the updates for our township, and nothing to anything of patterns of concerns to report to council at this time. The staffing update for Parks and Rec, we are moving forward with the same summer staff we always have. At this time, the operators and attendants who run the community center are no longer working in those departments, as the ice is already long out. So we run with summer students and the manager in the department, and that is how we are continuing to run in 2020. No changes in the operations of that department for summertime operations. Hopefully come September, we'll be able to see a change there, and the operators and attendants that are normally there, we'll have to see how that comes forward as we get closer to the fall. Other than that, I have tried to remind me, I have one item in general business, Mayor, that I would like to chat to you about. Other than that, that's it from me.
Sure. Councillor Walsh, you had
One quick question, Candace. How's grass cutting going for Park and Rec staff?
It's going well. It's going well. So they have Public Works has relinquished the trailer completely to them. They only had to share it for 1 week, so and it went well. They managed to work through it, so now it's completely in the Parks and Rec department. And all of the equipment has been purchased, and the employee has been doing well. You know, there is a learning curve, obviously, as they've never done these properties, and learning where all these we do have some neat little nooks and crannies that we look after, not all these great big projects. So definitely he's learning the township inside and out. So that's a good thing. So it seems to be going well.
Good to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Yeah, and the parks do look good. He's doing a good job. And I just wanted to report, I did notice people at both Westwood and Asphodel Parks over the weekend, and everyone is complying and certainly keeping their distance and being very considerate of others, even parking vehicles probably 20 feet from one another. So it's good to see, considering what we're seeing coming out of some larger cities. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for the update, Candace, on that for sure.
You're welcome.
Moving on to general business then. Candace, might as well have you start so you don't lose your track there.
Yes, I'd like council to consider the MTO has requested that a separate motion be adopted to state that the municipality would prohibit parking along the front of that JJ Stewart lot property on Highway 7. Because I don't know if you've noticed in other commercial establishments along Highway 7, how the parking along the highway tends to become the go-to spot versus pulling into the parking lot. They requested, and the exact same motion went forward for the A&W property as well. They don't want to, obviously the MTO doesn't want Highway 7 used as a parking lot. That's why the parking spaces are in the property, but they wanted a separate motion for that. So just for council to consider, and I can answer any questions if I can.
Sure. Anybody? Council? Nothing? So then we'd be looking for a motion at this time in general business. Candace? Is that-
Yes, just to state that the council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood approves on the approves no parking, for lack of a better, I guess trying to make it too fancy, approves no parking along the properties of 4309 and 4293 Highway 7.
Need a motion? Councillor Archer, seconder. Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? Seeing a unanimous show of hands, thank you. That has been carried. Anything else under general business, council? Deputy Mayor Burt?
I just have one thing I wanted to share with council, and this came in the May 18th edition of Ontario. I know it's looking backwards on the screen, and it was just about all of the Ontario fairs that were canceled due to COVID-19, and in it most of the article was about the Norwood Fair. So Norwood made it into this paper, and it was a very good interview with the manager, Paul Quinlan, and just I think they highlighted Norwood because it was one of the earliest fairs to cancel, with the fair that was the furthest one out from essentially March and April. And so I just thought it was interesting. The headline is 34 Ontario fairs canceled, but I went on the site yesterday and there are now 115 canceled, with 77 still waiting in their September, October. So anyway, I think it was important that Norwood was highlighted and showing their leadership and forethought with keeping our community safe and the volunteers safe. So I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Great comment. Councillor Walsh, you had your hand up?
Just a quick, Candace, and you may already have gone through this, Canada Day. What's the plans or lack of plans for Canada Day?
We chatted about that at the CAO meeting that we had last Thursday as a group. It's canceled across the board. There's not going to be a Canada Day in any municipality. That being said, our next municipal control group meeting is on Monday. It's an item of discussion. We would like to see if we could perhaps be a little innovative in regards to it, whether we have, we had the Scarecrow Challenge in September, which is great. So is there something that we could have as a little competition for, some sort of decorating of each personal household? And then I wouldn't want to ask anyone to come out to judge it or anything like that. I would have probably township staff go out, and we wouldn't actually have prizes. It would just be go around and, register your property. And then we would go around and take pictures and create a digital photo album of all of the, the Canada Day memorabilia and celebrations that were going out throughout the township. Is kind of where you've got a worm in my brain. You've dug into there a little bit before I've kind of hammered out all of the I's and the T's, but that is what I'm thinking. Something along a digital platform, but engaging the community at the same time. That's basically all it's going to be.
Okay, and kind of part two to that, if I can, Mayor Roger, is we had the Jack and Marguerite Stewart Award normally presented at that time in the Senior of the Year. Will we maybe kind of dovetail them into what you may plan for the fall?
Yeah, so it's going to be a bit of, we have thought about that, and as far as meeting with the people who need to meet to make those decisions as per the bylaw has proved to be a challenge.
Okay.
So not saying it's not going to happen for Canada Day, very easily happen for Canada Day. The government hasn't sent out the request to receive the applications for Senior of the Year.
Okay.
And I normally fill that out myself, and I haven't received those. So I think the timing for all that stuff is going to be off a little bit, and we may align that, as you say, with, in the fall.
Yeah, little higher priorities right now, understandable.
But no, good questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Good. Anyone else under general business then? Okay, the only thing I just wanted to add was just that for those that may be listening, please pass it around that that everyone in the township's doing fine, and please be patient. I mean, the government makes a lot of our decisions. We make some tough decisions here in the municipality also, and we just encourage you to keep patient and stay safe, basically. So, all right. So, no notice of motions, and there's no closed session. So I'll ask the clerk to read the bylaws then, please.
That the bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement between 6714382 Canada Limited, Grandwood Homes Inc., and the Corporation of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood be read a first, second, third time, and finally passed and numbered bylaw 2020-26.
Looking for a motion. Councillor War, Councillor Walsh, all in favor? Show of hands was unanimous. Thank you. That's been carried. And the next bylaw, please.
That the bylaw to authorize execution of a merger agreement between Huckabug Preschool Inc. and the Corporation of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and numbered bylaw 2020-27.
Thank you. Motion, Councillor Archer and Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? That's carried unanimous with a show of hands. Thank you. And the confirming bylaw, please.
That the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood held on May 26, 2020 be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed and numbered bylaw 2020-28.
Thank you. Motion, please. Councillor Walsh and Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? Show of hands was unanimous. Thank you. That's been carried. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting for May 26, 2020 to be adjourned at 2:01 p.m. And our next meeting would be June the 9th, 2020, unless we have something that comes up at the call of the chair. Councillor Archer and seconder, please. Councillor War, all in favor? Carried with a show of unanimous hands. Thank you very much, staff, and thank you very much, council. What a great meeting. Enjoy your day and be safe, please.
See
Thank
everyone.
you.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, take care.
Bye now.
Take care, everybody.